before the end of the year, so you guys can understand that we have monies there to fix a lot of things, and we're not utilizing it the right way for that GL.
Just to verify, is that code ending in 0744? Blight condemnation?
No, 0706.
Oh, yes, okay, thank you.
But so, if I read this right, this is through March 31st, the expenditures.
That's through today.
Yours is, my number that I just quoted you was March 31st.
Well, the budget was 300,000 this year.
Correct.
And it shows total activity 29,544.
I believe that's correct.
Yeah,
Does that mean that we're talking 270,000 carryover right today?
As of right now, yes. But there are several other projects that you guys have, that the commission has approved for demolitions and things of that nature that have not started as of yet and have not been billed out or invoiced to us to pay out.
When when you demolish that foundation, is it where that motel used to be?
It's South Washington.
Yeah, wasn't that bid like 19,000?
I believe it's 18, just over 18,000 is what it was,
How
Commissioner.
much extra did we add on to that to do all the other work?
That was, everything that was that you see today was all included in that quote.
The grass seeding and everything?
Grass seeds, the tearing down of the signs, all of that, yes.
So that's 18,000, did that come out of the demolition removal?
That came out of the demolition removal, yes.
So then, other than that, we spent maybe $11,000 actually out the door,
As of today, yes,
as of the $300,000 budget.
correct.
And you're, according to Mr. Young, was the increase is 26%? Is that what, of your budget?
Yes,
that's at the very end where you find like the surpluses, so on the third page where you
Okay.
see, that's where I'm getting that number for 2026 total budget, 1,137,000 and change.
1.3.
Precisely, yes. That specific item, obviously, remaining the same.
How much do we have that you say that we've been committed remaining of that 300,000 for the carryover? That's we got 270 left, but you said we have commitments. How much of that's committed, the 270?
I know as of right now, I would say 15,000, and then with the rest of the dangerous and unsafe structures that we'll be bringing forth this year, I'm not exactly sure what the total would be. 617 happens to be one of those that is on the radar. I know that you've asked about that. That will be coming forth to you guys to make a decision on as well.
617?
617 North Washington.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that,
That will come out of this.
That would come out of this GL if the commission wills it, yes.
Some of the smaller items like the computers and software could come out of the rest of that demolition fund to me. I mean, those are small numbers. I'm not saying you have to pay the whole salary of the new people we need to hire. I get that, but little things like that, I think we've had that money in there for a while. I think at one time we were concerned about having to pay for all of the hotel in South Washington. And that was going to be a big number, but fortunately the owner paid for most of that, so that was a good thing. So, but we've had that money in there for a while, as far as I know. So maybe we could peel off a few of these little things and maybe clean that up with that. Just a thought.
it sounds like we got a substantial carryover.
Yeah.
Now, again, I understand that you're concerned with the carryover. There are things that I will be presenting to you throughout the year where that money can be utilized to fix some of the issues that you guys bring forth to my department on a daily, for some of the vacant lots, abandoned properties, dilapidated houses and things of that nature. There are rules and regulations that are changing that are giving you guys the power to be able to utilize that fund to be able to make those things happen, to be able to beautify the city, but also to ensure that those properties can be reutilized throughout the community. So I would take that in consideration when you make your decision.
I don't know how much you think your based on what you projected for right now, how much of this 270,000 is gonna be out the door by the end of the year, to the best of you, I know it's.
To the best of my knowledge, I mean, just using 617 North Washington, I mean, as of right now, the estimated, if we were to get involved, the estimated is somewhere between $100,000 and $150,000 to do any type of work on that property. And that is the bare minimum of what the structural report has been given to me. So,
And that would be an action where we would expect the owner to pay us back for that facilitation?
so if we were to get involved, what would happen is we would go in, we would immediately take over the project, get everything done. We would pay out of pocket up front, and then that money would be billed to the landowner for them to be able to pay back. If they do not pay that back, then of course, there are special liens that can be put towards that property.
We could assume ownership.
I'm gonna need a lot more information on that, assuming ownership.
Yeah, and again, I can definitely do that. I'm still learning some of that. There is some legal aspects there that I don't completely understand, so I'd like to talk to Mr. Seitz before I just go outright and say, yeah.
May I ask another question?
Yes, ma'am.
So we've not been quick about getting light and these abatements,
Mhm.
but now we have extra staff and so maybe what we didn't spend in the past is potentially appropriate for the future, considering we're preparing for beautification of our community. Is that, did we not spend in the past because we didn't have, I think we have an extra attorney with Britain, we have extra staff, I think, in codes, so
Mhm.
therefore, does that account for some of the increase that wasn't spent in the past? I don't know.
I would say yes. So when I originally took over my position, I had a staff of about, not including myself, of 5 people. I now have a staff of about 12. With that, we've seen an increase in our blight production going from about 25 to 30% to now about 65 to 75%. We have dramatically made a change just by me taking over and hiring the staff that I have now.
And you wanna add 2 more people?
So I would like that. One is a permatech, that's for the building side only. That's so that anybody that would like to come in and get a permit to build or anything like that, it would help expedite. As of right now, I only have one of those persons, and I may be losing her at the end of the year. We are not quite sure yet.
I'm not sure that's the solution when we have process problems.
The process problems are because we don't have an extra person up there. There's also some other issues, and I know where you stand, Commissioner. We are working those issues. I don't think that concerns the budget here, though. That's another topic.
I understand that's another topic, but are we bringing people on for the right reasons?
I believe we are, yes. Yes.
One of the things that I've noticed, and I think the city manager can speak to this because I communicate with it. It seems to me that the city itself has overlooked some of our own oversight, things that we overlook. Can we get your staff to look at things that the city operates or owns or is responsible for, to communicate to other departments, the city manager, things that the city should be improving?
As far as what?
Do you want me to give examples?
I mean, again, I think right now we're talking about budget. We could talk offline about that,
Yeah,
yes.
that's fine, but, I just see a lot of things that we, as a city community, that we are overlooking, and we're talking to other people about doing things that we're not doing them ourselves. As a staff, it seems that you're not reporting that, and I've heard complaints about people making reports online, not getting responses. Do you know anything about that?
No, every response or any complaints, again.
I'm not saying your department.
No, I understand. I will say that from my department standpoint, everything, if we get a C-click fix or anything like that, again, I reach out to my staff, I make sure that they reach out. Again, I think, also, we're kind of talking about budget, guys. We're getting off a little offline here.
It's about your job duties, and
Yes.
responsibilities.
I think
I wonder, I'm sorry, you go ahead.
I was just gonna affirm, I think within the budget mindset, the consensus that I'm hearing is that although there is understanding regarding this 26.5% potential increase within your budget, we are seeing potential opportunities to better balance those funds. And there's a consensus within the commission at this time that if we have excess funds that would help us to reduce that increase, we would feel more comfortable pursuing that, especially if parts of the commission feels that these monies would be going towards a process point that they're not comfortable with at this time.
Yeah, the valuation by the county assessor of the overall properties has gone up 6%. So everybody that has been assessed, on average, it's a 6% increase in their valuations.
I would be more than happy if again, like I said, I'm just asking the will of the commission. If the commission believes that there's a better way of going about it with my budget, I'm more than happy to sit down with the finance director and reevaluate and maybe go through it again.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Item B, legal and court department budget discussion.
Good evening. I'm here as department head tonight and not necessarily as legal counsel. One of the 18 hats I wear in the city. Legal department's fun. We do a thing that some other cities do is we have, I just want to break it down so we kind of understand things, is the department I get the pleasure of being a department head of is both the city attorney's office as well as the municipal court. So we have two divisions within that department, and I myself oversee both of those departments. And so within the legal department, I have an assistant city attorney whose main job is to prosecute municipal offenses as well as to help out with the prosecution of other ordinance offenses such as building and code violations, licensing, and all that fun stuff. We have two legal assistants to help us out with that. Over on the court side, we have a court administrator with 3 court clerks. We are full now. We also have a bailiff who provides security, inmate transport, as well as we have a part-time security officer. After some issues that we had last year, we upped security. So that's why prior to 2025, going into 2025 budget into this year and the next year, that's why it's a little bit higher than it had been, but it's not going up much going into the 2027 budget. As well as we do have our municipal court judge. Any questions as to the functioning of my department? All right. We don't have a lot of crazy expenses because we deal mainly with paper, software, and time. The legal side actually has some decreases because of shifts in how we're doing the budgeting, because I think software and hardware has been taken over more by IT. So my portion of the pie for my department is going to be lower, but still going to be there within the whole general fund. Because as you do this budget, you're establishing budget authority to be able to expend monies that are tax monies. But we do have some decreases that should actually be zeros within that because of the IT aspect to it. And I'm open for any questions as to my budget.
I did notice in quick review here, some of the immediate increases that spotted my eye was increased contributions to medical and dental coverage. Is that correct? It looks like both of those doubled. If I'm reading correctly. First page 0535 city contribution medical is going from 24,600 to 51,132. Is an increase in cost for coverage, if I'm reading correctly. I know premiums are going up. I would believe it. I just want to make sure I'm understanding.
Yeah, I believe it's a common thing in all budgets because last year there was a policy change in terms of all staff, not just in my department, of what is covered by the city in terms of premium to make it more of a benefit for employees.
And what's the percentage increase from 26 to 27 on the court side?
The court side, I ran the math on my old numbers. Let's see here. Mr. Wilcox will help me out on the number, but,
Anything on the legal, what's the percentage increase there?
the percentage increase before you take into account the IT shift was actually a decrease of a little under 1% on the legal side. Because we're cutting things like subscriptions to books, some paper and office supplies as we get more and more digital as we can. There is a slight increase, I knew on the core, it was close to 10%, but not quite. That was on the old numbers before we got to some of the shifting of the budget aspect.
I'm gonna jump the gun and ask a scary question. This is my first budget session, so bear with me
All
here.
right.
For 2026, if I'm reading this correctly, the collective total budget was $523,000 and change, approximately. But for 2027, it's looking to be almost 2 million. Am I viewing that correctly, that we've gone from 500,000 to 2 million?
What page are you on? Oh. What page are you on? The last page?
The last page.
No, not just what's budgeted right now in the general fund. The last page doesn't, the last two pages actually don't even matter. It's just a recap of what's in the general fund. What's budgeted right now? But revenues are right now, and the spreadsheet revenues are not budgeted.
Okay, so this is not inclusive.
Yes, the only thing that matters on his department is the first three pages.
First 2 pages, right?
Cool, don't scare me like that. Glad to be wrong. Excellent, thank you, sir.
So on the personnel total, we're talking 413,000 to 462,000, am I right? That's
Yes.
okay, then on the commodities, it's gone down, about 3,000. And then on the contract services, that's gone down by about 40,000, 45.
Yeah, because that reflects the change of Mr. Hinkin from a contract prosecutor to a full-time employee.
Okay, and then the capital equipment is pretty much the same.
I believe so, yeah.
There's nothing in capital equipment.
Zero. Explaining the municipal court with that under category 35, 662, and then a minus 664. What is that minus appropriate? Could you explain that? Find category 35 under the bottom line. It says 662,000, and then over there is a minus when it says the 27 budget is a minus 664.
So when you put them in the system, you can put them in as a negative, as a positive, but the 4 after the 001 emphasizes that it's a revenue. You don't have to put the minus, so it should be a positive.
Should be a positive?
Yes.
Okay, so that's, okay. And then on the personnel side, it's 456,000 up to 543,000, so that's part of that contract? Is
No,
that
on
part
the-
of that?
On the court side, what that is, that'd be with the,
That's page 2.
yeah, that'd be the increases in salary as well as the increase taking into account the shift in policy of the entire city for the medical and other contributions as well.
Well, I don't know, I think for some of the micro things, the people putting these together know these things, but I would like to know a percentage that each department is requesting for each overall, and I like the breakdown, but I wanna make sure I'm not making a mistake.
Yeah.
And, as I've said before, people that don't pay a lot of property taxes don't see this, but property taxes can amount to confiscation after a while. You just keep raising the taxes at all levels of government, you're taking people's property. And there's a lot of people that are concerned, they want their property taxes stabilized, and when you have, in the past, we've lived within, mill levy increases based upon valuation for the most part. And that's what you would say, neutral in some sense, but if you have a 6% increase in valuation, then everybody's gonna pay 6% more. If our budgets go up 20% compared to that 6%, then we're consuming more than the previous year.
We'll be losing our taxpayer base.
Yeah, over time, it might take another decade or two, but, you know, people are really concerned about their property taxes. And I can understand that. I manage properties and I pay these taxes, and they're hard to pay when sometimes the rents don't generate what you need to pay.
My
Property
mortgage
tax is
went
done
up.
by the county though, isn't it?
The valuation is done by the county, yeah, by the assessor.
But
Just talking about what we're spending. My mortgage went up $900 this year.
Per month?
Per month.
Oof.
Because of the property tax.
Taxes and insurance.
what did your city go up? I'm pretty sure it's 0. The last 2 years, we kept it the same, and there was no property increases on the city side.
We were, I think the term is R&R, revenue neutral
Correct.
rate. We were at or below R&R,
Correct.
and that is hopefully our goal this year as well.
It's about the evaluation. That's what keeps jacking everything up.
Because
Yeah, but also the budgets that are spent also jack it up. If you reduce and live within,
it is
even staying at the R&R, last year we were two of us that wanted to stay below the R&R right away. And others wanted to increase because of what Mr. Dinkle told us. And I think it was, personally, I wasn't in the meeting, but I think it was a scare tactic over the EMS stuff. But fortunately, everybody came down to the R&R number and we had that hearing. So definitely, I want to be at R&R or below.
me too, sir. That is truly my number one goal this budget season, is to be at or below.
In regard to my department,
Yes, sir.
the legal division, the state attorney's office, even factoring in the IT numbers, because we still impact software and hardware and all that, would be a decrease of about 1%.
Very good.
And then the increase for court, mainly because of the shift in insurance and all that, is about 10% is my rough attorney math going on there. Those are kind of the rough numbers I have.
I do agree with Commissioner Panera. If we were able to have supplementary percentages to show it, that way I'm not over here playing with the calculator on my phone, that would be helpful as we get deeper into this session. Independent from you, Mr. Stiles. Thank you, sir.
And one of the things that we do keep an eye on, just for my department, are the contract for that, because when we have people, as Commissioner Panera, but everybody should be aware, is we have an obligation if people are facing jailable offenses, we have to provide counsel if they can't afford it. And so we have a main public defender. We've been able to keep that rate the same for years because he's been very generous with us. We were one of his first jobs when he went out on his own law practice. So he hasn't negotiated as hard as probably he could, because other places are paying way more for less time than we get from him. But also,
Is that line up 07?
that would be 702.
What is it?
702 on court. And part of that also does pay the appointed counsel. For some reason, we got two different ones on there, 702.
740.
Yep. And then we have a main conflict attorney, so when he ethically can't take a case, we have to appoint another attorney. And then if he can't take the case, because say you have a case with 3 or more defendants in it, then we find out other counsel. One of the fun things, though, is getting people that are willing to take cases and have able attorneys that we feel comfortable, because we don't want to appoint just anybody. Riley County actually did a thing a year or two ago where they started appointing any attorney who practices law in that county, and that created a riot. If we started forcing people to be appointed to cases, that would not go over well with the local bar association. So we try to find people who are willing and able. We try to keep it here, try to keep it, do it here, but at the same time, we reach out to Manhattan or Abilene if we have to for attorneys on that. So we pay a flat rate, which is actually kind of a steal because sometimes it could be a case takes 5 hours work, sometimes the case takes 20, sometimes the case takes 30 minutes. So we say, hey, you come over here, we'll pay you $500. It's a lot easier on accounting than trying to figure out billable hours. And people are amenable to that because we also work with their schedules so that they can come in and take cases. But we try to keep that number in a good place in case things get done and we have like 10 people. We once had a riot case where we had a bunch of defendants on it. And so we had to have 10 attorneys if they couldn't afford their own counsel.
Thank you.
Right.
Appreciate it
Thank
very
you,
much.
sir.
Item C, fire department budget discussion.
Mayor and Commission, I do have 3, so we'll go over first is the EMS side, which is 18. What, for both fire and EMS, this is gonna be to include the battalion chief, so there's a contract agreement with the union that we do it'd be 6 firefighters and 3 battalions by year 2028. So this year, we already have in the budget for 3 firefighters. What I'm looking to propose is 3 battalion chiefs next year, and then in 2028, additional 3 firefighters. So, and I'll go over that with this in each one. Line item 520 is their salaries and wages. So including the battalion chiefs for next year would be a 14% increase of that line item. We did on motor fuel going down to 648 is a 33% decrease, which will, who knows, with the tariffs and stuff now, we might bring that back, but right now, as we've kind of marked it out, we're not doing as many transfers. We up our on calls, but not as many transfers as we used to do.
Knock on wood.
Huh?
Knock on wood.
Yeah. So. Telephone went down 33%. We kind of narrowed that down as well. We finally got a hold of, with IT's help as well as kind of what we need. Former staff, I mean, we had tons of phones. I don't know why we had more phones, tablets, everything. So we consolidated tremendously on that part. We did increase on traveling and training on the EMS side on 0765. That is due to paramedics. Right now, we only have 12 paramedics. Back in the day, we used to have around 16. That's the top level of EMS care that you can get. So we're starting to get more paramedics. We do have some that are in class right now, and we'd like to increase the paramedics to get increased. So that was the EMS side, is increase that percentage, about 33% increase on that. Capital went down. As you see this year, we have budgeted, which I'm presenting in the city commission, but 39% down in capital. We will not need a med unit next year. So I got a plan to where every 3 years we will get a new med unit. As you know, we have an agreement with the county. The county pretty much is gonna pay for right now, as we've talked with their CIP, is the equipment. Once we get on this 3-year rotation of that new med unit, what that does is it gives us enough money on both sides to pay for a new med unit, so every 3 years, which gives us 2 frontline med units in top shape, 2 backups, and 1 that's kind of on reserve in case one breaks down. So.
And I believe we have one for the agenda for the 7 o'clock meeting?
Correct.
Yes, sir.
So as you said, for percentage increase, you're looking at 6.9% on EMS increase from last year. And actually last year, from a 25 to 26 was a 36% increase due to the local agreement of 10% for the fire union side. This year it goes 6% union, 3% COLA for the city. So that's included in this year's 2027 budget for the EMS side. And I can go over all of this and then we can go back and forth, or you want to hold questions for the EMS side.
Let's go ahead and hold questions now, but
Okay.
I wonder if we can use the line item when we're communicating, so at least I can follow along.
Okay.
If that's okay. Okay.
Certainly.
I guess it's called a line item, whatever that is called.
The GL code, like the number at the beginning?
Yes.
Best to use the last 3.
Yep.
Yeah. I can't say the whole number.
It'd be easier
It'd be
just to say
easier.
the last three. Sorry.
I would like to touch back to your first notation, 520 on the first page regarding the increase in salary due to expansion and leadership. Can you speak to that a little more?
I do. I have a 3-minute talk about that, if that's all right.
Should I start
So
my
this is
timer?
to get battalion chiefs. We had probably, I think, 8 years ago, battalion chiefs in our staff already. And that got switched to admin staff of an EMS chief, operations chief, and a fire marshal, and the fire chief. So those are 4 positions. We don't have battalion chiefs currently, and this is why we need battalion chiefs back into the mix. Battalion chiefs is an important position for the fire department for safety of the firefighters in this community. It's not simply another rank or another layer of that administration. It's a frontline operational position that provides command at the emergency scene when it is most needed. Right now, the fire chief and the operations chief, we respond from home, which is an 8 to 5 job. Holidays including, everything doesn't happen from 8 to 5. So we have to respond. So what that does to the command staff makes that captain. The captain is in charge of the scene until one of us gets there, or the other station comes from the other district and relieves him so he can go with his 4-man crew in. So when this occurs, the change immediately, the person needs an incident command. We need an incident commander on every scene we go to, and that's the person that's top in charge. Without a battalion chief on duty, that responsibility falls on the first arriving captain. Like I mentioned, our captains are highly capable and experienced. They're doing it right now as we speak. But that also leads to a 4-person engine crew along with their 2-person med unit crew. When the captain has to step away from that crew and manage the incident, he's also doing a critical exam of stepping back from his crew, okay? That creates an operational gap. Instead of focusing fully on fire attack, rescue, ventilation, accountability, the captain must take on broader responsibility of command until IC gets there, one of us. In many cases, this continues until more units arrive, like I mentioned, from Station 2 to Station 1 district. The battalion chief solves this problem because they're on duty 24/7. They're a command officer for the shift. This position responds directly to major incidents. Command oversees operations for both stations, also allows company officers to remain with their crews, so that captain then remains with his crew. That improves span of control, it strengthens accountability, improves the communication, enhances fire safety, gives us constant command presence on the scene from very beginning and to the end of the response. This is just not, a position, it's also an investment for that fire safety and the public of the safety. I can go on a little bit more about that, but that battalion chief has filled before in the position. As you can see, the local agreement with the union, we have to bring it back in by 2028. It was needed back then and it is needed now.
So is that just a rank? that
Correct.
somebody is
Above the
gonna-
captain, correct.
Okay. Is gonna
Which would be a non-unit, would be an admin staff person on the line,
Non-union.
non-unit.
And this is mandated by that new contract. This must be done by 2028. So it will
Correct.
be brought in 2027 and established by 2028.
I'd like to bring and establish them in 2027, next year's budget,
Okay, understood.
which is an increase around 220,000. When I get to the fire side, and overall, I'll give you an example.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to recommend that we keep going since we've got a
Okay.
start at 7, but we can always come back. to
Sure.
it if that's okay.
The fire begins with 24, yes. On the fire side,
Page 3. Yep.
So once again, on item 520 is salaries and wages, and that is at 14% because that is split for EMS and fire side, the battalion chiefs. The motor fuel went down only 17% because that's the fire side with the diesels and the big engines on the fire trucks. But that did go down on 0648 for motor fuel. And the telephone on the back, 0735, that went down 51%. We're getting better, like I said, control of it. So we split this with EMS and fire on the budget side on items. which leaves the fire budget of overall 9.8% increase. Previous was 22.15% last year, so. And an overall, if you want to, Zam, is both budgets, fire and EMS is 8.2% increase. We do have one more, fire reserve, fire equipment reserve. You don't have that? Never mind. Huh? We're not gonna go over that tonight. That 1.9 million. There you go.
Be continued.
Be
We'll come back to
continued.
it when we talk about revenues, like the third meeting, I'll go over fire equipment reserve
Okay.
and tell them what you can buy with that, but
Can you make this, these printouts with percentages on each,
of course.
and an overall in each section?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
I don't know who can figure this out.
Okay.
I was over here on my calculator going, okay. So, thank you. I have no further questions at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say one thing. Everybody always wants to throw around a tax decrease. Everybody. It's all over Facebook. You've talked about it. But every time I ask somebody, even the commissioners or anybody on Facebook, like today, what are you talking about for a millage decrease? Give me a number, okay? Jamel cannot work on anything but facts. He can't work on projections. He can't work on assumptions. He can't work on guesses, okay? We can work the facts if somebody gives me a number, but I can't get one person to give me a number. If the commission is looking, hold on, if the commission is looking to give me a number, I will gladly take it and work it with Jamel for a possible decrease. I can't do it without a number. That's all I wanted to say. Just to let you know, we're not saying against it until we have all the facts. We can't get the facts until we get a recommended number.
I suggested a 3 to 6 million decrease, and you asked me. You got that email, right?
No,
Yeah, you asked.
I'm definitely interested in looking at that. I just think we're gonna need, a lot of discussions as to what that actually comes to.
Mr. Wilcox, do you know at this time how many mills would be at or below?
We don't get certification until after June 1st.
Yeah, so it sounds like we're not in a place to be armed with that information yet to make those guiding choices.
Nope.
This is just educational presentation at this time.
correct.
So I'm sure as we get to that point, our commissioners likely will then start setting target mills, but in the meantime, I sense there's a consensus that getting at or below R&R is the overall goal while maintaining quality city operations.
So we can move on now. Are there any public comments? Oh, there we go. Okay, thank you. So Gary Olds, please come forward. Limit your conversation to 5 minutes and state your name and address, and welcome.
Who's got the timer?
Oh, they're pulling it up right over there,
Okay,
sir.
that's fine. Good evening. My name is Gary Olds. I live at 3308 Frontier Circle in Manhattan. Just like there's another football season, there's another basketball season, there's another budget season, and you're in it. Kim, you asked about a number. Listening to this discussion, the number is $10,279,069. That's last year's. I don't have the signed copy, but I assume that's the correct number in terms of what was assessed in terms of property taxes. But keep in mind, you say you want to be below that number, and you're talking, that's convertible to mills, of course, and somebody can do that calculation. It's a couple mills less, maybe, based on the valuation increase, in terms of the calculations. But I think it's important to remember that one of the keys to good budgeting, which is a very difficult job, is the estimation of sales tax revenue. And that's going to be the real challenge, because of the deployments and the folks that are leaving. So it's not just the revenue from property taxes, it's the revenue from the sales tax and any other things that come into play in terms of fees and stuff like that. So that's gonna be really difficult. Now, keep in mind, and this is not accusatory, so please don't take it that way, is anytime a city or county, not so much a county because they don't live on sales tax, but anytime a city intentionally or unintentionally underestimates their sales tax revenue, they're going to make up the difference with property tax increases. So that's why it's so important to try to get real close as what's realistic, to what the sales tax could be or might be. Because then you're going to have a better, shall we say, feel for the overall budget. But the key is $10,379,000. And there's a rounding error in there that will be a factor. But that's what you want to collect. Now, you may collect some of the last year's because people pay late, so there's some additional revenue in there. But keep in mind that that's the number. So when you talk about whenever that gets converted to mills for you, that's exactly what needs to be made clear to everybody, and certainly to the public in general. One of the other things I want to throw out at you to think about is, and it's not so much in tonight's presentation, other than the fact that there's a term called cost recovery. And I believe in the legal department, there's cost recovery. In the Parks and Rec, there's cost recovery. In the codes department, there's cost recovery. It's a percentage. In other words, you were making reference, Richard, or Commissioner, earlier to the $600,000 that was on the budget line. I believe that's negative because it's not going to be, you don't know that it's going to be collected, so you have to budget it. So in other words, it comes out of the general fund to pay for it. And then if you do collect the money, you put it back. So it's just an accounting transaction. But he said it's supposed to be positive. Seemed reasonable that it was negative. But I guess you could look at the previous year and the previous year to that. You all, or we all, depending on how you want to look at it, things are looking good in Junction City. I mean, they are. You have a lot to be proud of in terms of the accomplishments of the streets and the infrastructure and the condemnations and all those issues. And I assume, Pat, Commissioner, you've been on here the longest to ride this ship, is the fact that we're finally to the point from a debt standpoint that we can do the things that you pushed for and dreamed of and knew were coming at some point. And you're executing them from what I see, very successfully, not perfectly, because nobody can get them done perfectly. I don't have a hat on, but hats off, because Junction City's making some great progress. I would encourage you to do whatever you can to continue the staff's effort, code department specifically, effort to continue to clean up with the nuisance and things like that. And in the 30 seconds I have left, because I'd like to talk about it later, so I'm just going to pause or stop so that after the regular commission meeting, I can make a suggestion with regards to the budget, if I'm allowed to.
Mr. Olds, you pay a lot of property taxes.
Well, the tenants do, yes, sir.
It comes out of your pocket too. But we do have reserves set up for miscalculations and underestimates. We have
That's good.
reserves that are there for that purpose.
Yeah.
Just,
And last year, as you remember, sales tax was underestimated dramatically, and you came up with 6 million more than what was budgeted. So you did a lot of things with that 6 million, playgrounds and all kinds of stuff. So
Thank you
That
for your
helps.
presentation, and in the best interest of time and the need to be ready at 7 o'clock, I'd like to move on to number 4, adjournment. Is there a motion?
so
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll return to begin at 7 o'clock.